Shanti Shanti Shanti. Should I? They're laughing at me, no? All the 10 Upanishads are sweets in a sweet box. All the 10 Upanishads are sweets in a sweet box. Which is the sweetest Upanishad to know and experience Brahman? That's a good question. It depends upon the Upanishad. I mean, the individual. Ishavas is the first Upanishad, perhaps a very sweet Upanishad from this very first mantra. Somebody like Keno Upanishad, somebody like Mandukya Upanishad, somebody like Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. You see, they're all sweets in the sweet box. They're equally sweet. So no sweetest Upanishad. Equally sweet. And for knowing and experiencing Brahman, each one is equally effective in its own way. So I guess this question is so that I can stay with one Upanishad and not worry about others. So it is said that Mandukya alone is enough. Mandukya mekimeva alam. This one alam is enough for moksha. But there also is karika again, so that becomes pretty long. And then there's bhashya, and then tika and tippanis. I think if I were you, I would study all the Upanishads really and enjoy all the sweets rather than confining into one sweet. Right? In the English translation of the Shanti Mantra, Om Sahana Bhavatu, it is mentioned as protect us both. And may who are these? So who are these both? Protect us both. Who are the both? Teacher and the student. So then, may we, then again, who are these we? Teacher and students. Some questions I'm reserving, I will answer them, I guess, at some other appropriate occasion. Happiness is our own business. Happiness is our own business. Why are worldly desires to interfere? Why are worldly desires to interfere? So, what does the question mean? Happiness is our own business, where worldly desires to interfere. I don't know the connection between two sentences, so I cannot understand this question. If you can clarify, what's the intention behind the question? आप हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं, हाँ हिंदी में बोल सकते हैं. अच्छा है, माइक्रोफोन बोलिए आप.
अपना ओन सेल्फ जो है वो विदाउट एनी जो है वो हैप्पीनेस है उसमें ऑल टुगेदर, लेकिन उसको जो है वो गेन करने के लिए जो आउटसाइड जो है वो आपका वर्ल्डली डिजायर्स को कैसे कंट्रोल किया जाए.
कैसे कंट्रोल किया जाए? डिजायर्स को कैसे कंट्रोल किया जाए? ऑलराइट, ठीक है. So his question is, if happiness is our own nature, but our mind desires worldly things, so how to control the desires? Basically, Vedanta teaches that by removing the cause, you can remove the effect. For removing the effect, we should remove the cause. Desire also is an effect because of some cause. So where does desire arise? Desire for something arises when I look upon that as a means of happiness. Really, desire is for happiness. And I desire something because I think that it is a means of happiness. So now, it's not a matter of controlling the desires, it's a matter of understanding the desire. That desire arises from ignorance, meaning not knowing that the object which I think gives me happiness doesn't have happiness. As you say rightly, happiness is the nature of the self. Meaning that there is no happiness in non-self. It is not that happiness is in self also and non-self also, no. Happiness can only be in consciousness. Cannot be in unconscious things. So all the objects of the world are unconscious, insentient. So they cannot have happiness. And still, somehow, we feel that there is happiness in those various objects. So when the mind comes up with the desire that I want this, I want that, I want that, then we should analyze the desire. What does the mind expect as a result of fulfilling a desire? What does the mind expect? Mind says, I want to be happy. It's a wait a minute. If the mind says, I'm hungry and I want food, that's one thing. I'm thirsty, I want water, is another thing. So there are what we may call natural desires. And so body has certain needs, and there is a desire for fulfilling those needs, then it's a legitimate desire. But desire for happiness is not a legitimate desire. Because happiness is my own self. And nothing else is capable of giving me happiness. But Swamiji, when I eat ice cream, I feel happy. Is it not? Don't you feel happy? When you eat ice cream, you feel happy, is it not? Going for white rafting, happiness. So things do give me happiness. How can you say there is no happiness in any of those things? I do get happiness when I experience variety of things. Maybe those objects may change. My opinion about them also may change. But it's not this thing, something else gives me happiness. So I seem to get happiness from those various objects. How do you say that there is no happiness in objects? Can you say that? Can you say? When you're experiencing happiness, when you eat pizza, I mean you enjoy it. What you enjoy, is it not? And that, what is it? Kheer. Kheer you eat every day, so perhaps you may. But when then the pakora comes and other things come, So they do give happiness. How come the Vedantists keep on saying there is no happiness out there, no happiness? I enjoy it. Is it not so? So who is right? These Vedantists keep on repeating there is no happiness there, no happiness is there. Are they right? Or the fact that I experience happiness, that experience is right? What is right? Vedanta is right, that's safe answer. But how? How can you negate your experience? It is permanent, impermanent, whatever it is. But I enjoy happiness, at least for that moment, isn't it? As long as I eat ice cream for a few minutes, I enjoy it.
But it comes with a sorrow, we are told.
It brings sorrow. It may bring sorrow, I appreciate. Yeah, but at that time I enjoy happiness, isn't it? Consequence of anything, but when I'm enjoying happiness, that time I enjoy.
Sorrow comes when the payment is. No, if you're willing to pay the price of.
No, I understand. Suppose I'm willing to pay the price, then I can enjoy it.
Yes, no Vedanta required at all. We are looking for a permanent happiness.
But I can surround myself with number of objects which give me little happiness. Yeah? It's over that one. That's over this one. That's over this one.
Small joys.
Objects don't give you happiness. Happiness is from within.
But then I'm experiencing. When you give me that object, I enjoy it. Do I not? Lack of knowledge. That is true. But I don't need that knowledge. If I can experience happiness from things, what does it matter? Whether there is knowledge or not knowledge. Happiness may be followed by sorrow, but I won't allow that sorrow. I'll have another happiness. Pardon me?
Happiness is not permanent, it is only a pleasure.
I understand. But suppose I am willing to settle with that pleasure. So next question is that yes, I do enjoy, I gain happiness when I eat ice cream, pizza, watch a movie, or do something, that. So I do experience happiness. But where does it come from? Does it come from ice cream? Then from where? Then why do you need ice cream? If it's coming from self, why do you need ice cream? Ice cream is the means of happiness, true. Huh?
Incomplete self from which the desire arises, and the moment you eat it, the burden of desire goes away. And we cannot continue to eat ice cream.
But then I'll eat pan. When that is over, then I'll eat, I'll have a cup of tea. When that is over, then I'll have something else. Ignorance is bliss, that's right. Understand that when we experience happiness, let's say from an object. See, there are two things involved here. The object of happiness and experiencer, isn't it? So I'm experiencing happiness, all right. Whereas I think that I'm experiencing happiness coming from that ice cream. The fact is, I'm experiencing my own self. Because that also is a possibility, isn't it? But there are two things. The object also is there and I am also there. So, is it possible that when I feel that the happiness is coming from object, in reality it is coming from myself? Is it possible? How can it be?
Happiness cannot come from Jada. And I think Jada.
Yeah, that's true. All the answers are very technically correct. I will not dispute them. I'm seeking simple answers that I can understand, that's all.
Because we cannot get happiness all the time from the same object. That is why we can say that happiness is not in the object. Otherwise, it should give happiness to all and all the time.
True.
Swamiji, your earlier point that when do I become a contributor then? I'm only a consumer. All the time I'm taking something, I'm taking something. So at what stage do I contribute?
Why should I contribute? If being consumer makes me happy, why should I contribute?
Real happiness lies when you become a contributor.
What does it matter if it's real or unreal? As long as I'm happy. Why should it matter?
Swamiji, you are eating an ice cream. Suddenly you get a telephone call about some tragedy. Where does your pleasure go now? Is the same ice cream cannot give you any more pleasure?
And look for something else.
Bad news.
That's the problem, Swamiji. You keep having to look for something else.
Now, since we talked about ice cream, he's demanding, Swamiji, now you have created in me a desire for ice cream. Bring me an ice cream. But we'll prove that there is no happiness in ice cream, okay? Still do you want it? No duality. This simple thing, it looks like very complicated, is it not?
There's no inherent happiness in any object of the world.
True. But there is happiness we experience, inherent and no inherent. I experience it.
Because of your own self.
It is superimposed. That's why.
True.
Happiness is superimposed on your
So when I think that the happiness comes from a given object such as ice cream, in fact it is happiness that is my own self that I am experiencing. Thus from all the experiences we see this fact, that whereas the object of experience changes, there is one factor that is constant in every experience, and that is myself. So his argument that if there was happiness in the object, then it should be consistently there. So if there is happiness somewhere, it should consistently give happiness. I fulfill that requirement. Because in every experience of happiness, I am there. And so I consistently give happiness to myself. And therefore, when a mind desires happiness, we make it see that, hey, your desire arises not from a misconception. You think happiness comes from there, it comes from yourself. So what's point in desiring that? So that's how it's not controlling desires. It is resolving the desire by removing the cause. So whenever desire arises, we have to subject it to this scrutiny. Mind, what do you want? I'm hungry, then take the food. I'm thirsty, okay, have water. I'm feeling cold, you can have a blanket. Meaning all those desires that are centered upon body, they are quite legitimate. But otherwise, all other desires are cultivated desires from, so we can dissuade the mind from them. And then also again mind says, I want blanket but a particular kind. Then wait a minute, what do you want? You want just removal of coal, protection or something else? Why do you want that brand? So cultivated desires again. Natural desires and cultivated desires. That desire for food is a natural desire. That I must have pizza and pasta. This is all cultivated desire. We can reason with the mind. Hey, this is cultivated desire. What you need is actually food to appease your hunger. Not junk food. Healthy food. Not junk drink or water. Healthy things. So all, desires born of misconception and cultivated desires. What is cultivated desire? Desire to appease hunger is a natural desire. But desire to appease hunger by a particular kind of food is a cultivated desire. We are not obliged to fulfill that desire of the mind. So I want pizza. Wait a minute, why? I'm hungry, then take this roti. So I don't want roti, but then, so two kinds of desires we can make the mind free from. Recognize that it's a cultivated desire which we are not obliged to fulfill and should not. And secondly, it's a misconception that happiness comes from there, so that also is a wrong desire. That way, analyzing desire, we can make our mind free from desire. It will come back another desire. Again you do this. Again desire. Again do this. That's called abhyasa. Abhyasa and vairagya. There are two questions here. One, can you please, let me take the second question first. You explained that Shruti states that whatever is my conviction at the time of departure from this body, that is what determines my destiny. So, if I depart in a car accident, would I return in pain? Suppose an accident happens to me and lastly I am experiencing pain. Does it mean that I go to pain? But basically that pain makes me unconscious. A person usually departs when he is unconscious. When we become unconscious, then we do not have the freedom to determine what thought comes in the mind. The most powerful thought automatically comes in our mind. Just as when you go to sleep and dream, we don't have freedom to decide what the dream will be. Do we have? Otherwise, will we always enjoy the dream? Sweet dreams. You won't even bother to wake up. If you can, create the dreams to a choice. But no, dream takes place. What determines what dream takes place? Whatever thought arises at that time, that determines what the dream is. What will that thought be? Whatever is the most powerful experience that pushes everything out and that manifests as that thought. Similarly also, the last thought would be the summation of most powerful thoughts. It is not the condition of body that decides the thought. It is the kind of thought that we have entertained throughout the life, which has become then a most powerful thought. That's what determines the end. So that is the reason for this meditation. That if you allow the mind to think the way it wants, then we don't know what the last thought will be. But if we plant our desirable thought in the mind and maintain it, and not allow the mind to think anything else, and control the mind to think what we want, if that thinking becomes powerful on account of doing it for a long time, then that becomes the thought of the mind. So this whole idea, when Arjuna asks at the end of 7th chapter, so how does a yogi depart from here, Lord, remembering you? So that's why Lord Krishna says, may you remember me at all the time. Even while doing all your activities, remember me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Tasmat, therefore, sarveshu kaleshu, at all the times. Doesn't matter whether you take a bath or not, you can remember God all the time. Mamanusmara, remember me, even while performing your duties, if you have to. If you have to perform the karma, because that's what life demands from you, do that, but don't give up my remembrance. And if you don't need to do karma, good, but my remembrance must be there. Then my remembrance will become the most powerful thought. If you do it for a long time, abhyasa yogi yuktena, chetasa nanyagamina, abhyasa, by repeatedly doing, chetasa, then the mind becomes focused on that. Doesn't go anywhere else. And that's a thought that automatically pops up. Doesn't matter whether you die in an accident, however you die. Wherever you die, doesn't matter. What matters is what we have done throughout the life in terms of cultivating the thought. That's a good question. You say that you remember God even while performing your actions. How do you do that? If you remember Ram, 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 how can you perform your action? Yes, no, you're right. I'm just repeating a question. But we have to see how Rama or God is connected to every activity. You may not remember his name as such. Recognize that whenever you are able to do something, his grace is involved. You can speak because of his grace. You can do anything because of his grace. So you can remember him. Remember his grace in doing every activity. How you are the beneficiary of his grace, his blessing. He has given you the knowledge. He has given you the power. So this remembering with a sense of gratitude. So even when I am talking, remembering his gratitude is not opposed to talking. Meaning talking itself or whatever action we perform itself becomes the basis of remembering him. If remembrance is separate from what I am doing, then there are two activities. But if the remembrance is involved in my doing, that's why he says, Aham sarvas mattas sarvam pravartate. Everything, I am the impeller of all actions. You just make our mind see that fact. Then, in every action, how he is involved, that's when we understand, then his memory remains. Not as a separate entity. Not as an entity separate from action, but as an entity which is part and parcel of the action. So in the action, you remember him also.
Swamiji, sometimes we get a strange dream which we never thought about it just ever. And how come is that?
So sometimes we get a dream. Normally they say that the dream has its basis in the experiences during waking state. But she's right, sometimes we get a dream which is strange or most unfamiliar. And we can't recall what kind of, what's the cause of that. Then maybe you have to go to the past birth. It's possible.
So you recognize the people, but the kind of dream you never thought of, like, in your wild imagination. And still you dream like that.
Well, that is okay. That the mind is capable of doing. Mind can conjure up a few things and then create some kind of a strange experience. that strange experience may be a combination of 6 different experiences. Takes one little from here, little from there, little from there, and then conjures up a strange experience, which can be traced to different experiences that we have. If you see the same people. But otherwise it's also possible that something that we did in the past, it may pop up at the dream time and create an experience.
Swamiji, this question that whoever wrote, that then at the time of death or accident or something, or as you said, that we become unconscious when we are at the time of death. So that time the mind is active, not active.
Yeah, the mind could be active, very subconscious mind, where given thought occurs.
Because if the
Not the conscious mind, the subconscious mind.
conscious mind is active, so that's why it remembers or whatever
The thought comes. And then it can become unconscious also completely after that thought. Then, can you please dilate and explain again the word Tajjalaniti, and how can it strengthen the conviction that all is Brahman, that I am Brahman? So, Tajjalan. So, what are these letters there? Tat, Ja, La, Ana. Tat, Ja, La, Ana. Tajjalan, right? So Tat means that means Brahman. Tat means Brahman. So Tajja means that which is born of Brahman. Talla, that which merges into Brahman. Tadana, that which breeds or survives because of Brahman. So Tajjalan means that this is the universe has its origin in Brahman, is sustained by Brahman, merges back into Brahman. Meaning Brahman is the material cause of the universe. Like a pot is born of clay, is sustained by clay, merges back into clay. So then clay is the material cause of the pot. That is the definition of material cause, from which the effect arises, by which the effect is sustained, and to which the effect goes back, is called material cause. So what is the material cause for a pot? Pot emerges from clay, is sustained by clay, merges back into clay. Therefore clay is called the material cause. And this says that the universe emerges from Brahman, is sustained by Brahman, merges back into Brahman. Therefore Brahman is the material cause. And material cause always inheres in the effect. Meaning wherever the effect is, the material cause must be. So in the universe, Brahman is very much there. And so, in number of vessels made of this clay, whereas names and forms are different, the content is one. So in the universe, names and forms are different, the content is one. Material cause is the content. That's the Atma, by the way. Clay is the Atma of this pot. So material cause is the self of the pot. So Brahman is material cause, is self of the universe of names and forms. And it is Asti, Bhati, Priyam, which is very evident. So that way, by thinking this way, we can see how everything is manifestation of Asti, Bhati, Priyam. This name and form is merely a vehicle for the manifestation of Asti, Bhati, Priyam. Just as this bangle, etc. This name and form is the vehicle for manifestation of gold. The pot is the name and form is the vehicle for manifestation of clay. And similarly, every name and form is the vehicle for manifestation of Asti, Bhati, Priyam. So clay is nothing, pot is nothing but clay, ornament is nothing but gold, and so also all names and forms are nothing but Asti Bhati Priyam. And who is the Asti Bhati Priyam? Myself. So that is Brahman, is nothing but Atma. So in this way, keep thinking and then it's very clear intellectually. So conviction comes from intellectual understanding. Then that has to become now my emotional stuff. So where the effort is involved, first step is to understand something intellectually and understand clearly without any doubts so that it becomes conviction. And then that conviction is practiced so that it slowly then permeates to the emotional level, habitual level, behavioral level and becomes me. Habitual level is me. So, intellectual thing is not enough. It's a good starting point and correct starting point. What is meant by meditation, upasana, whatever is, that understanding is brought to my behavioral level. So it becomes my habit, it becomes effortless. I have conquered it.
La is the same as Laya.
Laya, right. Jai is Janma, Laya is Laya.
Jati, Laya.
Janma, Laya. An means anidhi, breathes. An means to breathe. Like prana, apana, ana is there in all of them, So to breathe. So it breathes, means it lives, means it sustains. Ja, la, ana.
Swamiji, how can something which has no name and no form, no substance, in terms of Vyavaharika substances, how can that be the material cause?
See? How can Brahman, which is consciousness, which is not a substance, not a substantial thing, cannot be objectified, how can it be the material cause of this objective world? That's a question. How can Brahman, which is unsubstantial, Asti Bhadi, not a substance, meaning intangible, how can that be the material cause for this tangible creation? This was discussed in the class, by the way. But then we can still, how can that be the material cause? How can rope be the material cause of a snake? Super adhyaropa. So also by adhyaropa, it becomes a material cause. It is satyam which is material cause of mithya. Isn't that interesting? Rope is satyam, material cause of snake. Brahman is satyam, material cause of mithya jagat because of superimposition. Okay. So we have completed our course this evening.